Hello guys, welcome back to another YouTube video of Discord.js coding. Today we're gonna do the sleep command that I mentioned yesterday, and we're gonna do a mute command that will consist of restricting the command to specific people with permissions. Then we're gonna find the mute role using the name and ID, and then if there isn't a mute role, then we'll create one. That's what the mute command will do, and we're going to be doing the unmute command. Next episode we'll be doing a time mute, where it'll consist of saving data to a file using FS. So so a time mute is, for example, mute person for X amount of seconds or whatever. So yeah, anyway, now we've got introduction out the way, let's move on to the current video. So today we'll be using just Discord.js, nothing else really. So yeah, this is episode 10 by the way, and let's go here. Okay, so first off, we want to do the sleep command, or sleep function. So we're going to do it in milliseconds. So it's going to be a function outside of everything, and to first of all start it up, we need to do a return, because this will return anything inside or after return to wherever it was executed. So we want to return a new promise, and we're gonna do resolve. Let me move my mouse out of the way, and then equals right arrow, and then we want to open an object and then press enter, and we want to set a timeout. That is resolve comma ms, and there you go. So what this will do is it's kind of like a wait command, but this can only be executed in a sync function, since you have to do a wait sleep, since it'll wait until sleep is finished, and then it will carry on with anything below it. So this will only, it's basically like stopping one thread. It'll only stop the for example, if I put it right here, it will only stop this, so I can have another dot on ready and it won't be affected. So yeah, now to be honest, I don't know exactly what this does, but you can have a look and read it yourself. As far as I can tell, is that the word resolve, like I said, I don't understand this fully, but it works. So yeah, so you copy this and then you put it in a command that you want to wait or sleep. And how to execute it is you do sleep, you do await sleep, and then open bracket, and this will be a second, and then 2, 3, 60 seconds, so on. So yeah, but you have to execute that in a sync function like this. Anyway, now let's get on to the mute command. So we want to go into cmds, and we want to create a new file called mute.js. First of all, we want to get discord equals require, then obviously discord.js, then module.export is just like any of the other commands, but yeah, async, and then bot message. What's going on with me typing today? Message and args, and then we're going to equals that to there and open that up. Okay, so obviously we need to create the module thingies. Module exports help. There you go. And we could want to call that mute. So first of all, we want to restrict any the person who's executing the command, and we want to make sure they have the mute members permission. You may ask why I haven't seen a mute permission on Discord. For example, you might think, oh, I didn't know mute was implemented. It's not. So you might be thinking, right click that and mute. No, the mute is in the voice channels. So if we join this, and you can have server mute, and or server deafen. So as long as the person has mute, we can mute them on here. Makes sense? So yeah, kind of like a placeholder. So what you want to do, we want to open an if, and we want to say, first of all, we want to get the member. So to get the member, if we have a look at the documents, you get member by hopefully through the message. So let's look at the message document, and we can see here member, and that returns guild member, which is exactly what we want. So we want to do message dot member, and we want to see if that member has the permission inside the guild or server. So we want to go over to methods, and we want to go down to has permission. Obviously we could search for several permissions, but that will be removed in the next update, so we won't be missing that. We won't be using that. There's also missing permissions as well, but we're going to use has permission. So to use this, you need a permission, and to either require the role to explicitly have the exact permission. We're not going to be using this since it's going to be removed next update, but we have check admin, so whether to allow the administrator permission to override this. So for example, this will normally be set to true, and this one will normally be set to true. Oh, okay, it's normally none, but we could set it to true, which is always a good idea. But if the person has administrator, then it's gonna have mute, pretty sure, and the check owner will have all permissions. So there's no real reason. So we can just leave it, unless we want to do false. Pretty sure we won't need to change that. This one doesn't show a example since it's quite easy to understand, and we don't really need an example for this. But all we'll be doing is .has permission, open bracket, and then quotes, and you can actually see it here what you can use. But if you're using something other than Visual Studio Code, then you can click right here and see permission flags, and you can have a look at all the ones that's available. So yeah, you obviously we will be using the mute members one, so we want to go find mute members, which is right over here, and there you go, and mute members across all voice channels. So mute members. So we're going to be using that one, so we want to type in mute underscore members, and then after that we obviously that will return a true. We want to return, actually yeah, I'll explain why I said that returns a true. We want to return message dot channel. Actually, okay, so normally you would have to do, okay, if it does send it, then we do this. If the user does, and we do the command in here, and then we do else and say no you didn't, no you don't have the permission. But we can do this a lot simpler way by just doing return message dot channel dot send a message to the channel. You do not have the, and then we're gonna do double stars double underscore mute underscore members underscore and dash dash. What this would do is this will make an underline under mute members, and obviously make it bold. And then we could say permission. We can obviously throw a mention in there, so just in case they look away from the channel, they'll be mentioned, so they don't lose. So we notify them that they don't have mute members. So obviously we want to do message.author, and that will mention them, you, and then it'll mention the person who executed this command do not have mute members permission. Then put a semicolon at the end. Now currently what this command will do, actually I will show you. So let's see if we get past this. Message.channel.send, open bracket, yes you do have the right permissions. So we want them to go beyond here if they have the right permissions, right? So we're gonna test this. We're gonna do view, then integrated terminal. For me anyway. Obviously you would use the CMD version. Also I've been meaning to show you how you can just double click a file to execute to start the bot. I'm sorry I didn't show this to you earlier, but you could just create a new file, name it run, and then change this txt to bat. If you do not see this txt at the end, just go to view, and then go to then tick file name extensions, and you'll be able to see it. Then it should turn into this little icon, and the type should be Windows batch file. Right click it, click edit. I'm going to edit with Notepad. Okay, I'm going to just quickly make sure there's nothing private on it, so please bear with me while I have a look. Yes, there was. Okay, let me just get rid of all that. Okay, so first of all, this is some batch coding for you. I do some batch coding. I made a game out of it. You can have a look at my channel for that. But anyway, first of all, we want to do echo off. This will make it look nicer. I'll just say that. And then we want to execute this command. But I believe we have nodemon installed on here. let me just quickly have a check. Node mon dot. Okay, bot.js. It looks like we don't. It's not recognized for some reason. Although it did install it, I know that. npm uninstall nodemon. Oh, sorry, I'm gonna do -G for global. Yeah, I'm just gonna install it back. So what nodemon does, yeah, is whenever the bot like stops, it will just automatically restart it, or whenever you save any code, it'll automatically restart. Sorry about that. So you don't have to automatically or manually restart the bot yourself. So what we're gonna do, I uninstalled it. Now I'm gonna show you what we'll be using. We'll be using nodemon. Obviously, I told you that already. So I'm gonna search up nodemon, and I'm gonna show you exactly what it does. It's a tool to help develop Node.js based applications by automatically restarting the application when file changes in the directory are detected. So to install it, normally it's recommended to install it as global, so you can use it in all your apps. So that's what we're gonna do, or what I'm gonna do. It's up to you completely. So I'm gonna install nodemon -G, G, sorry, not J, and we're gonna just wait a little bit. Okay, I'm back, and here we go. There you go, it's installed. So now if we do nodemon dot bot.js. Okay, this should be working. You try it, it should work for you, although it's not for me. So I'm gonna see if I can install it just on this project and see if that works. I hope it does. If not, then I'm gonna have to find out why myself. But it should be working. Okay guys, I'm back. Sorry about that. So now it's done. Let's see if it works now. Nodemon dot. Okay. Well, I guess it didn't work. I really thought it would. Okay. Well, we can always just use node, and that's fine too. But you can use nodemon and see if it works for you. But anyway, node dot and pause. And you can save that and close that, and you can just run it, and it will run the bot. If you have a look, there you go, loading, and there you go. Bot is ready. So if we go to Discord now and run the mute command, you can see you Feb109 do not have the mute members permission, as you can see it underlined it. And obviously I am owner, and I have every permission. And the reason it didn't work is because, if you have a look, I have the mute members permission, and plus I have administration, so it should work. But the reason why it didn't is because we're saying if I do have mute members, it will return a true. Therefore executing this. If it's a false, then it would carry on. But obviously now anybody without mute members can execute this command, but people with mute members cannot. The way to fix this is by putting an exclamation point right there. That inverts any result that comes from here. So it changes it from true to false and false to true. So now if we save that and restart bot, I'm gonna just do it through here so it's more easy, and do dot mute now, boom, you have the right permissions. So now it works. So now I've shown you how that works. We now want to get the user. So we can get 2 ways, actually 3 ways, but we're going to do it 2 ways. You can try out the 3rd way if you want. We can get the mention, basically .mute mention, and then it will mute them, or the ID. And to get a person's ID, you just right click an ID. So you would do .mute and then @everyone99, or .mute and then that's what you would do. So we want to get that, so we're going to do let, and then we're going to do to mute, because we are going to mute this user, and we're going to do message dot guild dot member. And the reason why we want to do this is because, actually, first of all, we want to get the mentions. Okay, let's get the mentions first. So to get the mentions, we want to have a look in the message document class, whatever, because obviously the mention is going to be in the message. So we want to have a look for anything that resembles mentions, which is this one. So we want to go to it, and it looks like .mentions. So let's add that to our code, .mentions. Okay, let's see how we use it. It has a couple of properties. That's channels, everyone, members, roles, users. And then it has channels, pattern, everyone, pattern, roles, pattern, and users pattern. This I don't exactly know much about, the static ones, but yeah, I don't know much about that. But obviously we want to get members. Actually, we would want to get users, because because obviously we can get members, but this is going to be a collection of Snowflake and Guild member, and Snowflake is probably going to be an ID. For example, the guild ID. But what we want to do is we want to get the guild member of this user. So obviously we want to do users. So let's do users dot users, and then we want to get the member of this. So we want to do message dot guild dot member, open bracket, and then cover this in a open bracket and close bracket. The reason for this is if we have a look at message dot guild, if I can find it, guild, and then members dot members. The members is stored in a collection just like that one. So it should return with the member of the user, but the guild member part of the user, if you know what I mean. And obviously it matches up, so it should return that. And I'm gonna say why this won't work. Okay, so what this would do is return every user mentioned in the message, but we only want one, right? Even if the person just mentions one, it will still return with a collection, not the user. So to fix this, if we have a look over here, go back to where we were, it's a collection. So let's have a look what we can do with a collection. This one looks interesting, since I'm gonna code mine to do .mute and then either ID or mention, and then there you go. And then when we do time mute, after that will be the seconds and maybe a reason, or we could do reason right after that, maybe. Completely up to you, although I'll leave the reason for you to do. So we want to do first, and the count is the number of values to obtain from the beginning. We only want to obtain one, so we don't have to specify that, as that will just default to being one. If you have a look at it, single value if count is undefined on array of count length, or array of values of count length. But basically it'll just return with the first one seen in the message. So we want to do .first, and since this is a method, we want to do open bracket, close bracket, and it goes yellow, signifying that it's a method. This will get them mentioned. But what if they put in a ID? Then if it can't find it, then what this will do is say or. So if it can't find this, then see if you can find this, basically. So we want to get the ID. To do that, we want to do message.guild.members.get, open bracket, close bracket. Now, reason for this is obviously if we go to message, then guild, because we want to find the member, it's guild member, so we can assign a role in it. Since you can only assign a role to a guild member, not a user. If we have a look here. Okay, I'm having a bit of internet issues. Let me just check. Yep, my internet has gone offline. Okay, well that's great. I can't show you that, but I can't show you anything right now since my internet went off. It might turn back on later. So basically what this would do is it searches it in the message, it gets the guild, and this is a collection. So it gets all the members in the guild, and .get gets the key of it, because it's stored, all the members are stored by IDs. So if we do .get, we could just pop in the ID and boom. So we want to do args, and then this kind of array, and we want to put 0. This will get the very first one. For example, it'll do this, mute and then numbers, so it'll get this. So yeah, now we've got that. That's all we need, right? Now, not all we need, but we're almost finished. Now we want to make sure that we actually got the to mute. So we're going to go to mute, and this will return if it did find it, then this will return true, but we want it to invert. So if it returns true, then it will be false, so nothing will execute in this return. But if it's if it couldn't find it, then it will say false and will be turned to true and will execute this. So we want to say message.channel.send, open bracket, and you want to say actually we can use reply on this one. Message.reply, I believe it is. Can't remember now. Okay, let's just use this for simplistic sake. Anyway, so we want to say that he didn't supply an ID or a mention. So we want to say you message author did not specify a user mention or ID. So after that, we want to see if he's trying to mute himself, because obviously we can't allow that now, can we? So we want to go if to mute dot ID, so this will get that ID of the member, equals message.author.id, so this will get the author of the message's ID. And we don't want to put a exclamation point anywhere, since if this returns true, then we want to send a message saying, hey, you can't do that. So also what return does is basically cancels this and backs out and doesn't do any other code afterwards. So return message.channel.send, open bracket, quotes. Actually, let's do that. You cannot mute yourself. And then we can do message.author. And there you go. There you go. Now we want to check if whoever we're muting has a higher role than the person muting that user, because we want this is completely optional if you want moderators to be able to mute admins. But yeah, what this means, a highest role position, is basically so if tester, for example, had the mute role, if I add what I'm about to add, then it won't be able to mute permission, anybody with a permission role. But if you put this above it, then it will be able to mute the permission role, since it's below it. You can also do that with the same role, but I am not personally going to do that. So we want to do, or if you want to do this, we want to do to mute, if to mute dot highest role dot position right arrow equals or greater than or equal to. Oh yeah, this will this little equals will deny them from muting the same role, the person with the same role as them. Equals message dot member dot highest role dot position. So what this is saying is it gets to mute, and it gets its highest role, and it looks at what position that highest role is at, and if it's greater or equal to the author of the author of the message, but the guild member version of the author, because we want to see the owner of the message member instead of their user, since their user won't obtain any roles inside of it, the guild member will. So we want to get the member, we want to get its highest role and then the position of that highest role. And basically if this returns true, saying if to mute's highest role is greater than or equal to, then it will return message.channel.send open bracket you cannot mute you message.author cannot mute to mute. Because the member has a higher or same same has a higher or same role as you. And then semicolon. So that will fix that issue. So moderator can't mute a admin or moderator or anybody above the moderator role. If it's a moderator who's executing the command. So sorry about this being so long. I just want to, obviously with new stuff I have to explain it. Obviously I couldn't explain much on the documents. Oh, actually yes I can, since the Wi-Fi is back online to my knowledge. Okay, so members. I was looking at members. Yep, here we go. So this should return that. So we can see we can add a role to a guild member. Anyway, let's have a look. So we want to have a look at members, which I was just at. So on a guild member, you can have a look at the highest role that it has, the role of the member with the highest position. Yeah, and that role, every role has a property called position. So it gets the permission of the role from the API. So and obviously returns a number. So yeah, we're just basically, for example, 1 and 0. Actually, I don't know how it gauges it in the roles. Let's say 1 is higher. No, let's say 0 is higher than 1. So pretend this is 1 and that is 0. This will basically say that you can mute them because they're lower, because 0 is higher. Let's say this is 1 1. You can't because it's equal. Let's say this is 0 1. You can't because the position is higher. Basing on, I'm having a guess, the tallest one is 0. I'm hoping that's the case. I think anyway. I don't know exactly, but yeah, this has been a long video. I'm sorry for cutting it short. It's just been a lot of explaining and the amount of interruptions I had. So obviously next episode, maybe next episode I'm gonna do the finding role and creating it if it doesn't exist. So your homework today, guys, is to try and make that exact thing that I just said. So what I'm gonna say is you gotta store. Basically, you gotta find the role, use the name, or get the role using ID. It's gonna be a collection called roles, and you wanna use the dot create role method to create roles, and then you got to make that role override every channel and disable send messages and add reactions to it, so they can't send messages in that channel. I'm preferably you can set positions, but I believe you will have to check what position. We're not going to cover the positions of the roles next episode, or how to do that to make to change the position of the role created. But basically, you're going to want to find your position, yeah, and you want to place the mute underneath your permission. So every role underneath it, that role will override everything underneath it, since it's higher. Therefore, disabling send messages would hopefully disable send messaging. Although you're going to have to experiment with that. There's obviously several factors that may not make it work, but that's going to be it for this video. That's your homework today. Try and do it. Not today, until 2 weeks time, but try and do it. I recommend you just try and try, and if you can't, you can either wait, yeah, just wait, or try and do just do something unique and send me it, because I like different methods, and I like learning on how other people do stuff, because that expands my knowledge of there's other ways to do stuff, and it might be more efficient or whatever. But yeah. Also, a quick one, you will have to use a try when creating a role. You're gonna have to use try, because most people don't do this. Catch E, and then open bracket console.log, then e.stack, and then you would create the role inside it. Obviously, I'm gonna say this right now, you're gonna need an if statement first, and then put the try inside that, but that's all I'm gonna say. Anyway guys, thanks for watching this video. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.